Hi, everyone. Welcome to our author. Hello. Okay. Sorry about that technical difficulty. I think it has passed. Can everyone hear me? And am I echoing? I sound okay. Okay. It's echoing for me, but if it's not echoing for you, I'm going to go ahead. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our virtual author event tonight. Thank you for supporting a locally owned independent bookstore in Books and Books. As always, we're super excited to be here and to be in partnership with our great friends, Miami Book Fair and Culture Crusaders, for this wonderful series of online events. Tonight, we have the great honor of hosting Jennifer Niven on the launch day of her latest YA novel, Breathless. Let me just check this chat. I'm good. Okay. I'm about halfway through. It's beautiful, romantic. It's honestly, don't miss it. And it has this great packaging. So her work is especially close to our hearts at Books and Books. If you don't know, a little bit of trivia is that our owner, Mitchell Kaplan, is one of the producers on the film adaptation of her novel, All the Right Places. It's on Netflix. It's wonderful. It has a great cast, a fantastic soundtrack. Like, there's nothing not wonderful about it. So check that out. But we're here tonight about Breathless. So we're very excited to have with us also Justin Conway and Luke Eisner. And here's a little bit about our guests. Jennifer Niven is the #1 New York Times internationally bestselling author of All the Right Places and Holding Up the Universe. Her books have been translated in over 75 languages and have won literary awards around the world. When she isn't on multiple book and TV projects, Jennifer also oversees Germ, a literary web magazine for high school age and beyond. Jennifer divides her time between coastal Georgia and Los Angeles. Her conversant tonight is Luke Eisner. Luke Eisner is an actor, musician, writer, and model. He stars as a romantic lead in Netflix's original film, Tall Girl, ABC's The Goldbergs, and Netflix's Family Reunion. Luke's modeling portfolio includes campaigns with international brands like Ralph Lauren, American Eagle, Calvin Klein, H&M, Tom Ford, and Stuart Weitzman. Luke's music career as half of the pop rock duo Voila has captured the attention and praise from media such as Billboard, BBC Music introducing and Live Nation's One to Watch. Voila has also supported acts such as Kesha, The Fray, and ex-ambassadors on their North American tours. He actively supports and provides direction to domestic violence shelters like the Milwaukee Rescue Mission and Good Shepherd LA in a mission to continue his father's dream of living in a world where domestic violence survivors and their children are fully supported and protected. Thank you, Luke. So I did not have a formal bio for Justin, but I know, I think Jennifer will fill us in. And I know there's like a really special reason that he gets to be with us tonight for this particular book's launch. So if you haven't heard yet, you'll hear soon what that is. And then before I hand this over to Jennifer, Justin, and Luke, a couple of things about your screen. At the bottom right corner, there's an Ask a Question button, and that is what we're going to use for the question portion. So don't put them in the chat, put them in there. It's kind of the only way we can guarantee they won't get lost throughout the night. And then, of course, is the most important button on your screen is this green one right here. It will be here all night. And that is where you can order a copy, if you haven't already, of Breathless by Jennifer Niven. We will send it to you with a signed book plate. And that's all I have for you. So I will hand it over to our guest tonight. Again, so sorry for the technical difficulties.
Thank you so much. This is so
thank you
exciting.
so much. What an incredible intro. My goodness.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. I love that.
Jennifer, congrats. This is great. What an amazing, amazing night for you. I'm so happy for you. So happy
much.
Justin, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for doing this.
Of course. I mean, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'll continue to be after I've read this book. And yeah, I mean, how did we meet? Let's let everyone know how we met.
So we met on
The same way we met.
on Instagram. So Instagram
There you
brought
go.
us all together. Yes. So you tagged me in a post on your Instagram feed. You and your lovely girlfriend were reading All the Right Places. And I was just like, because I'd seen Tall Girl, I was such a huge fan. And I was just like, what? This is amazing. So we messaged each other. I thanked you so much for it. You thanked me for the book. And now the three of us are just best friends.
There we go.
And here we are, having a blast. I mean, I am one of your fans. I've been a fan since the beginning, and we've waited 4 years for this book. So how does it feel to have it out right now?
It's so surreal, and I'm like clutching it right now because it feels so strange and amazing and exciting and exhilarating and nerve-wracking and terrifying and all of those things just all mixed together. But it's mostly just I'm so overjoyed that it's out in the world and it's here. It's real. Like we can touch it.
So since it's just day one, for everyone listening in, what's the elevator pitch? What's the quick what Breathless is about?
So Breathless is the story of Claude Henry, who discovers, she's told by her father just before high school graduation that he and her mother are separating. She feels like the floor has been pulled out from under her. 5 days after graduation, she and her mother moved to a remote Georgia island where there's no Wi-Fi, no cell service, but there is a boy. And it's a summer of firsts and lasts. It's about writing your own story and also rebuilding the floor when the floor's been pulled out from underneath you, which I know I can relate to. And that's one reason I wrote it, given all that's happening in the world right now.
Wonderful. I mean, I'm sold already. I've read it twice. So, and every time I read it, I'm picking up details. And, you know, as our friendship grows, I'm noticing there's a lot of parallels between your life and the characters in the book, and even the history of the book. Can you tell us some of these personal connections?
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because Breathless is so personal to me in two ways. I mean, in the sense that it's very personal to who I was years ago as an 18-year-old, because the same thing happened to me. My dad told me just before graduation, my parents were separating. I was an only child. My parents and I were super close, and it felt like the whole world had just imploded. And my mom and I moved to actually the mountains of North Carolina. and I felt just far away from everyone, far away from home, my dad, my friends, my best friend. And it was a real summer of self-discovery. So it's very personal in that way. And that's kind of not the happiest emotional, thing to visit. But years later, when I was writing the book, I ended up on this remote Georgia island where the book is set. And this is the happy part of the story. So years and years after high school, I met this one on the island. So I met Justin. We met that first day of my being on the island. And we fell in love that first day. And we just knew that we found our person. And so all of the adventures that I put into the book for Claude and Jeremiah to have are ones that Justin and I had.
Isn't that amazing? Wow. You're literally living a fairy tale, right? Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
But it's crazy because we really, didn't know each other, had been following each other on Instagram for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought, who's this incredible woman? But to reach out, I just wasn't my thing. But when I got this ambiguous message that she was grateful for my photography.
He takes beautiful nature photographs and had taken so many of the island, which I used as inspiration before I actually got to go there.
And she was coming. I actually had changed my plans and made sure I was there, but it was pretty ambiguous. But I think it was from the moment we saw each other, we knew. But yeah, as soon as I saw her walking up that dirt road.
Right. And what's that for you, Jason? I mean, a book dedicated after you. How do you feel?
Well, what was interesting is she'd already the book was quite fleshed out, and the characters, there we go, the real Jeremiah. His name was Jeremiah Crew before we met, which happens to be my initials. So she pretty much
wow.
There were so many things that were similar, like Jeremiah, where he walks barefoot pretty much everywhere in the island, and he walked barefoot pretty much everywhere on the island, and a lot of the backstory was the same, and the initials were the same. So I really did conjure him, I think.
Yeah. Shoes are prisons for the feet.
Yeah.
And that's in the book.
Yeah.
It's true. True story.
So who is Jeremiah to you as a literary character, Jennifer?
To me, I love Jeremiah because it's interesting because so much of him is informed by my husband, but so much is informed by, I created this person, and then Justin helped fill him in so many ways. But then at the same time, Maya's also his own wonderful self. And that happened with Finch as well, because Finch had been inspired by a boy I knew. And now when I think of him, I think of Finch. Finch just is Finch from all the right places. And he, it's interesting how characters just become themselves. And even if they're inspired by actual people and who you marry.
Right. So not just the characters, but the setting too. I mean, we've talked about this island off of Georgia. I've Googled it. It's absolutely beautiful. Tell me more about this island. How much influence did it have? How realistic have you gotten with the setting to the real place?
Pretty realistic. It's actually a hybrid of two islands. So there's an island named Sapelo Island and one Cumberland Island, both off the coast of Georgia. And on Cumberland, there are wild horses that run on the beaches and sea turtles on both islands. Both have alligators and these extraordinary, beautiful, these trees, these live oaks with Spanish moss and palm trees. And it's all very ancient looking. And it really does, as I said in the book, look like something out of Grimm's fairy tales. It's beautiful and pristine and so remote. It's just, you have to come, Luke. It's amazing.
I know. I'm booking my flight. I'm telling you.
Okay, good.
So everything sounds perfect, of course. Great inspiration, great setting. So what was the biggest challenge, Jennifer, when you were writing this? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think, for me it was, and Justin can testify to this, it was such an emotional journey writing this book. I've lost both my parents, and I miss them so much. And getting to, I mean, going back to that time, which was really, really emotional for me, and not in the best way. It was hard, first of all, like writing about my parents in a way that, I don't know, makes them seem not perfect. Of course, they're also fictional versions of them. But I think the hardest thing of all has been the hardest thing that I've had to go through losing both my parents, which is redefining my place in the world. And, you know, for so long, I was like the daughter of Penny and Jack, and it was always Penny and Jennifer, Jennifer and Penny, kind of like Claude says in the book. She and her mother are so close, and they're so similar. And so much of that journey has been me having to redefine myself in the world and find my role and figure out what that is without my parents. And even though Claude's parents are alive, she's going through a very similar journey in the book. So writing that, trying to help her find the floor beneath her feet again when her whole world goes upside down was really challenging. There were a lot of tears.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of, you hear folks often say, you know, oh, if I just had the time, I'd write a book. But watching Jennifer throughout the process, you know, from the initial portion to editing and digging so deep into just ugly, raw emotion. And it's just, I mean, you know, she's just a pile of sobbing mess at her desk writing, or I'll be reading and, you know, and looking at different parts of the book. And it's all inspired by feelings. And then also too, I think once those characters take shape, it's almost a double-edged sword, because not only does she have her own inspiration and feelings and raw emotion, but then she's also now taking on Claude and feeling what it's like for Claude.
And Claude's a lot.
And she's a lot. And and so she's feeling that emotion too. And it's and I think that's one of the things that she does so well is it resonates. So
that's so well said, Justin. Man, you really nailed it. That's exactly, you know, how I felt reading it. There's so much of you in this book, Jennifer, and that's amazing. And you're talking about this writing process, going through these tears, and that's the big theme of the book as well. Is you have Claude and her mother are both writers, and they're finding new ways to get their content created, and they go different ways. Can you talk a little bit more about that process for you? Where does it start? Was it just you knew you were going to put yourself 100% in this book, or did you start somewhere different and then did it end up going there?
That's a great question. I mean, I think with every book, certainly with my young adult books, I try to pour myself into them. And All the Bright Places was a great kind of challenge for me, because I remember in film school, I went to the American Film Institute, got my degree in screenwriting. And I remember my classmates saying to me, we don't think that you're able to put yourself on the page emotionally and open yourself up. And they were writing very heartfelt, angsty, you know, personal stories, and I wasn't. And I remember taking that to heart. And it wasn't until years later when I started working on All the Bright Places, I thought, okay, like, you owe it to your readers. You have to feel this emotion. Otherwise, the readers aren't going to feel it. And so you owe it to them. And since then, I've been doing that. And I certainly did that with Breathless. And I think, you know, it's so terrifying, but at the same time, I don't know how to write any other way anymore.
Right. That's amazing. You were emotional writing it. Should fans grab a tissue box like we did with All the Bright Places for this?
Probably. I mean, a couple of my readers have been asking, like, if All the Bright Places was like a 10 tissue box book, what is Breathless? And I said, it's probably like 6 or 7, maybe.
Yeah, and it hits differently, and that's what's kind of interesting to me, I think. And also having read it so many times and through an editing process, and there are certain aspects that, you know, even I'm looking back to, you know, when I was that age, and it's like just crushing, because the way that Jennifer is able to elicit that emotion, I start to feel like all the horrible decisions I made at that age, and what Jeremiah's going through, what Claude's going through. So, it's interesting. It pulled different emotion out of me than it has out of quite a few others. So,
and that's the beauty of books, I think. I think once you write a book and you put it out there, it really belongs to the readers. And so that's why I respect all reviews. I mean, if you've read the book, I respect it because it belongs to you. And we all have we'll come to the same book in different ways with different viewpoints and different feelings. And I think that's kind of amazing.
It really is amazing and really well said. You should be an author.
I might do that.
I know. So good with words. Yeah, I mean, we talked about all the bright places, and I mean, did you really think that was going to be a movie when you wrote that? Did you ever expect it to go where it went?
Never.
No?
I mean, it's interesting because because I cast my characters when I'm writing them, especially when the character is really personal. And Violet was very personal to me. It helps by casting. It helps you have the objectivity you need to like still put all your emotion into it, but not just get trapped in thinking about yourself. And so I cast Elle Fanning as Violet all those years ago when I was writing the book. And no one knew that when we actually cast her, and I got to tell her that, which was amazing. And I think that, you know, even though I did that and I cast my other characters, I didn't envision it becoming a film. And before the book came out, it was optioned by the amazing Mitch Kaplan and his producer partner, Paula Mazur. And it was a dream come true. And then to have Elle attached, it was like, I still can't believe it. I mean, we pull up Netflix and, you know, we're going to watch Tall Girl, of course. And then I see all the right places there and I'm reminded all over again, it's actually a movie that's on Netflix. It's crazy.
Unbelievable. And you wrote the screenplay, which I'm not sure everyone knows. I mean, that's incredible.
I did. It was very. Thank you so much. I wrote it with Liz Hannah, who wrote the post. She's amazing, and I felt really, really fortunate to be included in the process.
And what is that like, dissecting your book and taking things out and adding them for the film? Is that a hard process for you? Did you like it? Was it surprising?
I loved it, but it was, you know, it had been a minute since I had been to film school and got my degree in screenwriting. So I had to kind of dust that off. At the same time, I was like, I don't see why this can't be a 14-hour film. I mean, I was really gunning for that. Like, I thought it should really be 14 hours at least. And that way I could include every single moment of the book. But unfortunately, no one else agreed with me. So I had to cut it down to like an hour and a half, I think it is. But
had to kill your darling.
I did. But so that was challenging at first, just figuring out what stays, what goes, because there's not as much real estate on the screen. But I think the thing that was most important to me and to the whole team, the whole film team, was that we capture the feeling of the book and the way that it made you feel when you read it. We wanted you to feel that way when you watched it. And I feel like we did that. Yeah.
That's amazing. You definitely did. I was supposed to be at that premiere. I was so mad. I have like a vendetta against American Airlines. I was stuck on the runway. Couldn't make it to the premiere. But I mean, like you're talking about, you had no idea going onto the red carpet, something you never imagined. What was that process like? I mean, how did you choose what you were going to wear? How'd you feel?
I felt like, well, it's funny because when I was little, like I would sign autographs for my parents all the time.
Of course.
And I would like make, of course, as one does. And I would, you know, give concerts for my parents, and I'm not a very good singer, but like my poor parents endured a lot actually. And I would, you know, we would have red carpet events where I would like walk and they would take pictures of me. So it was quite silly, but it also, you know, I always dreamed big. And so while I didn't envision this exact thing or moment, my parents always taught me that I should never limit myself or my dreams. And I really am grateful for that. As for what I wore, it was like I ordered everything that I could find online and then of course returned it because I couldn't afford it. But it was just a whole process of trying on things for a long time. And finally I don't even know how I chose it. I was probably so bleary-eyed by that point.
Your stylist, Angelo.
Oh yes, Angelo Cermeles, my best friend, who wrote an extraordinary book called The Dangerous Art of Blending In. Everyone should read it. He is also just a brilliant designer, and he's the will to my grace. And he was like, "Wear that one." So I was like, "Okay, done."
That's fantastic. And then, of course, the dreaded question: are you writing now? What's next? What can we look forward to?
I'm always writing. I'm always taking on too much writing, but I just, I can't stop myself. There are a few projects that I can't discuss, but I'm working on quite a few things. I can tell you that I'm working on the next solo YA novel, which I'm very excited about. I say solo because I also did just finish a collaboration with another YA author, and I can't mention who, but I'm very thrilled and excited, and I can't wait for people to know about that.
I can't wait either. That's great.
Holding Up thank you. Holding Up the Universe is going to be a film, and I am writing the script for it right now.
Wow. No time to sleep.
Yay. No time to sleep at all. What
no
sleep?
Time to sleep. So what do you want people to take away from this book? Is there any themes? Is there anything you just hope people carry with them, go on their day-to-day lives after reading Breathless?
Absolutely. I mean, in all my books, I try to convey a message of hope and love, acceptance, understanding. I want my readers to know you are not alone, you matter, you're necessary. And I think, especially in the world the way it is this particular year, 2020, when we all feel so isolated and helpless, and we feel like the floor has been pulled out from under us, I want others to know that you can rebuild that floor. You can be the floor, that it's possible to rebuild that and to be okay again and write your own story.
Yeah. Amazing.
And it's amazing that, also for, being parents and a young woman, it's okay to make mistakes and move on and write your story. And
it's fine.
And it can be messy, and and that's one of the things I never got as a kid. It was just, if there was one mistake, it was, it's over. But there's going to be a lot of mistakes, and it is messy. And Claude, I remember reading, it was like, no, don't do it. Don't. Same thing with Jeremiah. I'm like, even though he's much better than I was when I was that age. He made a lot better choices. But, it's just, although they make those, sometimes you're just like, you're turning the page, like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Oh, yeah.
But you turn that page and you can write your own story after that. And I think, especially for young women or young men, that's we oftentimes forget that.
Yes.
Yeah. Incredible. Absolutely amazing. So you would encourage other young authors to really put themselves in the characters and make it that raw, even though it was obviously, difficult at some points for you, but is that what you would say?
Definitely. I would say, if to all the young writers out there, believe in yourself and in your story. Don't ever doubt yourself. My mom used to say, she was also an author, and she used to say, there are so many people in this world who will tell you no, so don't be one of them. And then write the story you want to read. I mean, that's one of the things that I've done since the beginning. I've written the stories I needed and wanted to read, and just don't limit yourself.
Wow. Well, your mother, I'm sure, would be exceptionally proud. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Should we do some quick fire questions for the two of you guys?
Yeah. Bring it.
All right. Shall we?
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
So Jeremiah has a nickname, Maya. Claude has Clue. What are your nicknames?
Well, Love.
We call each other Love.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have a bunch of nicknames. I am, to my best friend Angelo, I'm Grams or Gracie, because I'm the Grace to his Will.
Right, Will and Grace.
Exactly. To my friend Ronnie Davis, also an amazing author, When the Stars Lead to You, I am Gladys, or I'm Helen, she's Gladys. I'm also Buttercup, and she's Honeybee. I have like so many, almost everyone in my life has given me a nickname, but I have to say my favorite, Nivy. Our kids call me Nivy. And one of my, I think my favorite nickname of all was when my dad called me, which was Genge. And no one else in my life has ever called me that, but that was his name for me.
Do either of you keep a diary?
No. I have diaries that I feel like my writing is my diary, but I have diaries I kept for like a minute when I was 14 and 15, listing like, you know, all the boys that I would marry or wasn't, you know, thought were cute.
I try and keep somewhat of a photographic diary. You know, when I first started taking photographs, really as almost like therapy, it was only beautiful things, only beautiful landscape. And then it took me a while, but I realized, you know, that there's beauty in the messy parts of life, and you just have to find it.
Which we gave to Jeremiah.
There we go. Which we tried. Yeah, you gave to Jeremiah. So I try and keep a photographic diary, if you will, of the good and the bad.
Sure. Amazing. What would you bring on a deserted island?
Him.
You can only bring one thing. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect answer.
Yeah. Luke, when you come, we'll teach you how to make a beach shelter. Like if you scroll through Instagram, you'll see the beach shelter.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
yeah, I could definitely use that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What book would you bring if you went to a deserted island? You could only read that forever.
That is so hard. Can I bring like the completed works of Shirley Jackson, like the complete works?
Sure.
That's
yeah.
what I would bring. Yeah.
You're supposed to say Breathless, but that's all right. This is a book tour, remember? Yeah, right.
This book right here.
I'd bring a blank one and we can write the next one.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yep. I got mine here too.
Yay.
Texting or talking on the phone?
Texting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Movie you've seen 100 times and you're still not sick of?
La La Land. Because
that's a good one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes.
Clearly. Yep.
Great.
It worked for us.
I didn't at all. Definitely not. But, you know, I think that was also, too, what was unique and somewhat paralleled in the book is both Jennifer and I have been through some really challenging things in our lives, and we've done a lot of hard work to get to where we are. And once we did that work, it happened to be at the right time. And just when, you know, I think we were both ready to not be with anyone. So it was love at first sight.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
And a lot
so what, Justin, what's your favorite thing about Jennifer, Justin?
Ooh.
One thing.
Her smile.
Aww.
Oh. Wow.
I love that.
And Jennifer, your favorite thing about Justin?
His heart.
His heart. Beautiful. Who is your favorite character in your books?
Well, I have to say Jeremiah.
Right. What about the girls? Who would you want to have like a slumber party with?
Oh my gosh. You know, Claude and Violet are probably the most like me, but I would like to have a slumber party with Libby because she's just awesome.
Yeah, she's so fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
She's cool.
All right, let's see. Okay. If you could have a birthday party anywhere in the world, where would it be? And what would we do?
I would, it would be in Stockholm. We would all go to the ABBA museum because I love ABBA. And we would all get obsessed. And so we would all go to the ABBA museum.
I didn't know this.
That's
That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I love ABBA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Luke. Yeah. We'll talk about this.
Waterloo is like one of my favorite songs of all time. So
Oh my God.
We have an ABBA bathroom in our home.
We do.
Get out.
And in LA, we have an entire ABBA room.
It's true. It's like this. I'm such a fangirl, so that's part of it. So I would say we would all be at the ABBA museum celebrating ABBA. And, you know, a backup option would be like going to a supernatural con where like all my readers could come as well, because a lot of them watch Supernatural and we could all like fangirl together.
That's hilarious. I love that. What about you, Justin? Where would you go? Birthday party.
I'd do Sapelo, you know,
Okay.
where it's one of the islands that was kind of the hybrid. It's just, and that's the same in the book. Everything seems to melt away.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
there and in terms of the noise of the outside world, and you get to be with yourself and others, and it can be terrifying if you're not in a good place.
Right.
And it can be really healing and restorative. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That whole saying, the island gives you what you need, is spot on.
It's very true.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it. If you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. That's hard.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to.
Yeah.
How about this? If you could bring someone from history back to hang out with you for a day, who would it be? Let's start there.
That's cool. Oh gosh, probably like Carol Lombard or one of the old like
Cool.
classic movie actors, Myrna Loy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I would pick Jennifer's mom.
Oh,
Yes.
Such an amazing
brilliant.
woman.
And he never got to meet her, so that would be amazing.
That's so brilliant.
And an amazing writer.
Great answer.
Yes.
Yeah, an amazing writer. Truly, truly. California or Georgia, guys?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes, both. Both for different
right.
reasons. I mean, I feel like I'll always be a California girl, but I've loved being in Georgia for the past,
The quarantine.
several months.
Yeah.
But we miss LA too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if Claude blew up on social media? What platform would it be? TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn? Where would she be at?
I think Claude would like Instagram.
Yeah.
I think, she's a bit more, I don't know. I think she would like the photographs, the poetry, you know, of some of it. I think she would like that. That would appeal to her.
Yeah. I agree.
Jeremiah, I don't think we're social media.
No, he wouldn't.
P.S. I love you or the kissing booth?
Tall girl all the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
That's the right answer. Good. Okay. It's a test. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl. Yeah, we have a hard time going to sleep.
It's, what did your mom used to say?
My mom used to say, like, we just hate letting go of the day, don't we? And that was true. Like, we could just stay up all night. And Justin and I do that too.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Favorite Harry Styles lyric? I know you're a fan.
Oh my God.
Do you have one?
That's so hard.
Or is that like a terrible question to have to answer?
It's so hard. All of them.
Favorite song?
I love the Canyon Moon song. That's what Canyon Moon. I just and oh my gosh, probably Sign of the Times.
Yeah.
That's probably my
classic.
favorite. I always want to write something to it when I hear it. It feels very emotional to me.
Do you like him too, Justin, or are you just kind of playing along?
No, it's good. I have horrible memory.
Who you like fanboy of? Who's your cardboard cutout?
I like listening to Chris Stapleton. I like Chris Stills, which I told you about the other day. He's great.
Great.
And John Forte is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Stapleton's amazing. Actually, incredible. Do you have a favorite song you want to share?
More of You?
Yeah, I think it would have to be More of You.
Because it reminds, we like that song.
We listen
for each
to that
other.
for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
And whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and of course, follow.
That's right.
After you teach me how to play guitar.
Yes.
Yeah, I will. Okay. If you were going to be born in a different time period, when would it be?
I would choose like 1930s, 1940s Hollywood,
Me too.
because I would love to have been like a movie star back in the day.
Yeah.
I like the glamour of it.
Man, that's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. I think I'd go 1600s.
Wow.
1600. And why in the world 1600s?
Exactly.
I think because
Very
exploring age, everything was
Oh, that's
new,
true.
and
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
and then
Okay,
maybe
like a Jeremiah.
Differently.
maybe do it a
Yeah.
little differently where it's not.
Barefoot?
I do definitely do it barefoot, but do it differently where it's not just rolling over
Yeah.
things that had already been discovered by others.
Brilliant. Love it. What's the most important thing in a relationship?
Oh my gosh. Communication.
Honesty,
Yeah.
Brutal. brutal honesty,
Mm-hmm.
and love.
Right. Yeah.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. How do you start your first draft when you are ready to go? Is it an idea? Do you start with the character, the line, the title?
Characters usually. I actually do a lot of prep work at the beginning. I work a lot on characters so that by the time I write, like I know them inside and out. And I do playlists for the main characters so that I can emotionally drop into their scenes, especially if it's dual perspective. That way I can like listen to one, drop into their scene, listen to the other one, drop in. Yeah.
Gotcha. Amazing. Here's a fun question for fans who know all your work.
Okay.
All right. Claude, Violet, Libby, they're on a road trip. Who drives, who holds the map, and who controls the music? This is tough. I even played this one myself.
I'd love to hear your answer too, Luke.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Claude would drive.
Yep.
I think Violet would read the map.
Yep.
And Libby would definitely control the
Definitely
music.
control the music.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I said too. All right. Finch, or I'm sorry, let's do Jeremiah, Finch, and Jack starting a band. Who's the front man? Who's the drummer? And who is the manager?
This is amazing. I love this
Oh.
question. Okay. I think Finch would be the front man. I think that Jeremiah would actually be the drummer. And I feel like Jack would be the manager.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I had Jeremiah being the manager.
Interesting. I can
I
see
did
that
too.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a hard one for me, that Jack and Jeremiah. I know Finch would be the front man.
Totally.
But-
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Jack and Finch would fight over it.
The front man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Finch
I
would
think
win.
so.
Those are
Last
great.
two. What's the best advice you've ever received as a writer and conversely as a photographer?
Best advice I've ever received as a writer was definitely from my mom. And it was some of the same advice I've said, which is, always believe in yourself, always believe in your work, and know that you can do anything you put your mind to. And she also taught me, and I think this pertains to writing, she taught me to leave the world lovelier than how I found it. And I certainly try to do that in my work by reminding people that they're not alone and that they matter.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Mine would be somebody once, a mentor told me that hurry up and get the no's over with when you're pitching a job or a project, and get through the no's, because there's going to be a yes in there, and always seek out the smartest person in the room or somebody you admire.
Yeah.
And just ask.
Great.
Yeah. Brilliant. Last one. What causes do you wish people cared more about and that you hope your work will bring to light?
I wish that people cared more about teen suicide and mental health. And I wish that people weren't so scared about talking about it. I wish that there wasn't any stigma, surrounding mental health. for anyone, especially for teens, because I know for a fact how many teens in this world are feeling alone, and they feel like they are struggling alone, and they are the only person who feels like they feel, because they write to me and they tell me, thank you so much for letting me know I'm not alone. And so I just wish, and sadly too, they also tell me, a lot of them tell me about how they feel like they could be a burden to the adults in their lives if they talk about it too much or really tell them how they're feeling. Obviously, not all adults are like that, but I wish that every adult was more sympathetic. And yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And what about you, Justin? Do you have any causes you really care about to light?
I'm ambassador for Child, which is a think tank out of UPenn that serves to abolish or get legislatively childhood sexual abuse. So it affects 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 5 boys, and it's the suicide rate is twice the average of those that haven't been abused, and it's affected myself and many others. And kids shouldn't have to fight for themselves. It's our job.
No. End of that. On that note, I think we should go to some questions from our lovely people that have joined us today. And I apologize. I'm fighting with the California set.
What's your cause?
Yes.
My cause is more important now than ever. It's domestic violence. My father and I had worked really hard in the city of Milwaukee to try to stop that. And now with quarantine, it's the rates are going up, and it really makes me nervous to see what's going to happen. So I think we really have to shelter survivors. We have to shelter their families, shelter their kids. And it's so cyclical. So if we can stop it now,
absolutely.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking.
And thank you.
Let's see. We have 12 questions. Let's see. Ruth asks, what advice would you give to a writer who wants to be published? Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth. I would say, as my mom used to say, is believe in yourself and in your work. Write the story you want to read. I have a lot of resources on my website, which is jenniferniven.com, for writers. Everything from like how to write a query letter to how to find an agent, all of those things that are like the kind of practical things. But one of the things my mom used to say was, you are the only you there is in the whole world, which I think is so extraordinary when you think about that. And so you are the only person who can write what you can write. And that helps me so much when I just am stuck or I'm frustrated or it's just, I have some sort of writer's block. That helps me. It helps me remind myself that what I have to say is important and what you have to say is important. So always remember that and just write. It sounds really trite, but just write. Like, don't be afraid to write anything that is not perfect. There's no such thing. You can go back and edit, but just pour it out on the page and don't be afraid of it. And don't worry about anyone else reading it at first. You just write for you.
And don't give up.
And don't give up.
Because, wasn't All the Right Places was turned down, wasn't it? When you were shopping it with agents?
It's been so long now. I think so, yes. Yeah, exactly. Don't give up, ever.
Well, thank you, Ruth, for that question and beautiful answer, you guys. We have Kenzie asking, what was it like to write a book even more personal than All the Bright Places?
It was a mess, I'll tell you. It was witnessing that aspect. It was
what?
It was there was a lot of tears poured on that desk and keyboard.
You know how, I don't know if anyone's watched the Mindy Project, but I'm obsessed with Mindy Kaling. Mindy, if you're watching this, I love you and I want to be your BFF. But on the Mindy Project, whenever she was overwhelmed, she would lie down on her floor and just have to feel all the feelings. That was basically me writing this book. It was just every day it was some sort, whether it was there's always like a moment when you write something that you know is really good and you don't know where in the world it came from, but you're like, you can't wait to read it to everyone. And then 5 minutes later, you're lying on the floor of your office and you're just like, I don't know how to do it. I can't, the emotion. So it was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But look, it's a book now.
Yeah.
It's a book. We all have it. Make sure to hit that green button and get one.
There you go.
Thank you, Ken.
Let's see. Zach asks, what's your favorite part of the writing process? Thanks, Zach.
I love the first drafts. I love creating characters and their worlds and losing myself in them and who they are and creating playlists. I also do like a playlist for the entire story or book, kind of like, and I think that's my movie background, but just kind of like a storyboard, and I do it with music, and that helps me like just track like all the emotional beats of the book and the story. And so I love doing that part. And I love first drafts. The editing part and the middles of things are pretty excruciating. Yeah. But thank you, Zach. That's a great question.
Thanks, Zach. Let's see, we have Marleth asks, when did you start to write this novel, and how is the process of creating the characters of story? How long did it take you?
It was interesting because all the right places took me like 6 weeks to write, because that's all I was doing. And I was just, it kind of poured out of me. Holding Up the Universe and Breathless both took a lot longer because I was touring and I was doing, I was like working on this book or working on this book or promoting this book. And so it took longer. But here's the thing about books. For all of my stories, they've always been told at the time they needed to be told. So I started Breathless about 3 or 4 years ago, but I didn't really finish it till last year. And it wasn't until going to the island where I met him 2 years ago that it really came to life in the way it needed to. And I absolutely believe that it was that was the time I was supposed to write it. And so it was, about a 4.5 year process.
Amazing and well worth it.
Thank you. Very worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a very great question. From Sorrel. She says, does already having bestseller novels set up higher expectations and cause any fear or anxiety while writing a new one?
Do you want to answer that?
I think.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah. I think from watching Jennifer go through the process, and she's put everything into that book, into each book. And so to put some of the most intimate, exposed, raw feelings on the page and then give it to the entire world.
It's terrifying.
That's terrifying. And it's,
you're like, please like my book.
Yeah. So it's tough, and it's a tough time right now, in the middle of the pandemic. So, but one of the things I think is that the book finds its way, like you say, your mother said, finds its way to who needs to read it. And
you also can't write with anyone over your shoulder. Yeah. And I have to tell myself that all the time, because you do feel this responsibility to your readers, to your publisher, to your agent, to everyone, even though they're all so supportive and loving. You're like, I don't want to let anyone down. I don't want to disappoint anyone, and so that pressure, there is that pressure. I make it worse, as I think a lot of writers do. Like, you put that on yourself. So at some point you have to put that aside and just write from your heart and just shut all of that out. My mom used to say, just check it in the fictitious bus locker and don't take it out until you're done. And
I think that too, it was from very early on, I would often ask, when your father and your parents sat you down and said, getting divorced, you can't tell anyone, and you're leaving for the summer, what book did you need to read? What did you need?
This one.
And that's what I, and that's,
Yeah.
and I think that's what's, she definitely feels that pressure and it's terrifying, but she's also amazing at, especially during the process, just shut it out completely. It's this part that's the worst, is when it goes out into the world.
Oh yeah, you just want to hide in bed.
Yeah, and there better not be any negative reviews of Jeremiah.
No, definitely not. There can't be. No, it's too personal now.
Right.
And I think he tries not to read any reviews.
No, unless they're presented to me.
I'll send them.
He'll read me like really good reviews, but other than that, I don't read them because, as I said too, I really do believe this. Once you write the book and you put it out in the world, that's all you can do, and so everyone's going to have a different opinion of it, and it belongs to the reader.
Yeah. We only have about 5 minutes left here, so I think let's rapid fire some of these questions. And I like this one.
How did you feel reading the book?
Oh my gosh, I've read it twice, and I would say that I'm probably not the primary demographic, so that's how good it is. I loved it so much, and I loved it. I mean, I've been reading romantic novels forever and hiding them from my friends who would probably beat me up for it. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And one of the reasons I did is because it was so realistic. I think a lot of times we read books that feel like movies, right? Where it's like, oh, well, there's no way that could actually happen. This was so realistic. I've had experiences similar. I think it was just absolutely brilliant. And I have to stop talking because I will give away too much if I just keep rambling. But no, you have my full support, and you would with anything, because we're friends. But this was, in my personal opinion, best book. And that's saying something because the other ones are incredible. So definitely, if you're on the fence about getting this, you will not be disappointed. Yeah.
Thank you, Luke.
And I do want to fire through some of these questions before we run out of time because some of them are really cool. And one is actually something we talked about, Jennifer. So I'm going to paraphrase it, but David basically asked, one of his favorite parts of the book so far is the family history that Claude's exploring. And I think you know where I'm going with this question, but can you talk a little more about that history that's in the book?
Sure. Thank you so much, David. It is basically the short answer, rapid fire answer. It's almost all of it's based on my own family history. So
crazy, isn't that?
Yeah. So that is actually that story about the mother and the daughter who lived in the house where her mother died with the gunshots in the, a closet door. That's all from my family.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. When I found that out, I couldn't believe it. Okay, I'm going to give you guys like 30 seconds each for each of these questions. We're going to just rapid fire them, but I want to make sure everyone can get theirs read. Christina says, can you tell us about the process of coming to the cover image? It's beautiful. Is it what you envisioned?
I would absolutely love to take credit for that, but that came from an amazing artist named Tito Morello. He lives in France. He is absolutely brilliant. That was all Random House and Tito who came up with that, and I love it.
But it had been through, there was a lot of, there was a lot. And once you saw that.
Oh, yeah. A lot of different versions, but that was we all knew that was it.
Amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. Ronnie asks, hi, Buttercup. I know this book is deeply personal for you. I think it makes the book super special and super beautiful. Do you have any more personal stories you'd like to put in novel form? And of course, she would love to read them.
Hi, Honeybee. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for that question. I do. I have so many other personal stories I want to. In fact, I'm writing a couple of them right now. And I feel like it's interesting because you think, oh my gosh, a lot of things have happened. I've dealt with a lot of loss in my life. But then you think, oh, I already told all my stories? And then you realize, no, there's so many more stories to tell. So yes, that's the short answer.
I love that. 2 more here. What would be the first step for a writer to take after finishing writing his or her piece of work? What do you recommend?
I would have someone you really trust who's close to you read it. You want to get a really honest opinion about it. You need to make sure you edit it, go over it until you can't think of anything else that you could do to it. And at that point, when you feel absolutely 100% about it, you like send a query letter to an agent. And I have those tips, like writing resources for like how to find an agent, how to write a query letter, all those things on my website, jenniferniven.com. Yeah, and just send it out there, and don't be afraid to send it out.
Hurry up and get the nose over with.
Exactly.
Get the nose over with. I love that. I love that. And the last one, and I love it. It's from Paula. She says, "Did you learn anything new about yourself after writing Breathless?"
Oh my gosh, Paula, thank you so much for this question.
It's a great one.
Yes, I did. I learned something I alluded to earlier. I learned who I was and how to really build my own floor and stand on my own 2 feet after losing my dad and especially my mom.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, Jennifer, congratulations. Thank you again for the honor of being able to talk to you tonight. We had a lot of fun.
Thank
and
you.
I hope we can do this some more. If you didn't get your question in, we're doing more of these throughout the week. So
yes, we're going to be doing this Friday night. And thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your love and support. And thank you, Luke, so much for this. And
my pleasure.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending your launch day with us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Luke, for joining here. That was really fun. Thank you to everybody who attended. Yay! We love the book. We're so excited to be a part of it launch week, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.